Hi, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit blurry. Good morning, good afternoon, welcome. Good to see you, those of you that are here a bit early. We've already got quite a few people, 15 people. Welcome, everyone. If this is your first webinar, my name is Katie Crysdale. We do a little bit of a pre-show for 25 minutes before we get started. So welcome, welcome. Let me know where you're from, your name, your facility, your state or province. It's good to get a good sense of who's here. How is your day going? I just finished this morning the show notes from Friday's webinar, and I was watching myself in the recording the entire time, and I could not believe how many times I said So today I'm going to work really, really hard not to say quite as many times as I did on Friday. Let me go ahead and pop those that link in the chat box, the show notes for Friday. That is now up. And I am working on the show notes for Monday. The recording is downloaded. It is safe. I'm just a little bit behind this week. I'm teaching certified pool operator class online after this webinar on Monday through Thursday. So I finish up this webinar, I have a quick bite to eat, and then I hop on with my students for another 4 hours. So when I get offline around 5 o'clock, I am just done. So I go for a walk, I have a snack, we watch some TV, but my time this week has been very, very quickly moving. So welcome, Evan from JJ Parr Aquatic Center, Cold Lake, Four Wing Cold Lake in Northern Alberta. Welcome. Angela's here from Oakland, Maryland. Let me know where you're from. Does anyone who's here, do you have a background in life-saving sport? Do you have a junior lifeguard club at your facility? Do you have a youth engagement program, a volunteer program? Do you have a junior or assistant lifeguard program, slide attendant program? Let me know what you're doing. Good morning from Katie. So you'll watch this on YouTube. You have another 2 video calls for 1 p.m. I hear you. I hear you. A lot of video calls, the recordings. I've said this in several YouTube recordings or several of these webinars. I am so grateful that I picked this software, Click Meeting, that is able to grab a recording. I really didn't anticipate how much online meetings, Zoom calls would go up in popularity and then nosedive back down in popularity as we get deeper into this COVID pandemic, physical distancing. I know at the end of March, it was very novel for me to get on a Zoom call, to get on a Google Hangout, to get on one of these webinars. And now today being Wednesday, April 29th, I'm done. I just called into another meeting shortly before this call, and they said, "Why aren't you on the Zoom?" And I said, "Well, I'm calling," right? That's the same thing. So definitely looking forward to that. So we've got lots of people here. I see Colin here from Alpha Youth and Community Center in Waterville, Maine. Thank you for being here, Colin. Your time is valuable, so I appreciate you joining us. Andrea is here from Charlottesville, Virginia. Andrea, I put your name on an envelope last night. I was getting caught up on our sticker giveaway, so I will put that link in the chat box. If you'd like to get a sticker from me, I am still working through those envelopes. Ashley is here from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. So Nova Scotia represent. I know that'll make Adrian very happy. I don't know if you're here willingly, Ashley, or if you were voluntold, if he's got some groupies coming. Angela is working with junior lifeguarding and other activities for teens. So I think we can probably all agree, teens, youth, tweens, they get disengaged from swimming, they get disengaged from the pool as life changes happen. And so what are some ways that we can connect them in our community to the swimming pool? Is it a Friday night youth activity, drug-free, alcohol-free zone? Is it an after-school activity? Is it a weekend activity? Is it a no-school Friday or a PD day activity? Spring break camp, summer camp? Thinking beyond COVID, how can we work to develop our youth for future staff, for safety, to create model citizens in our community? So I see Katie's volunteering with Lifesaving Sports. So she teaches the official instructor course in Ontario. Junior Lifeguard Club. So those of you, if you see JLC in the chat box, that'll be the Canadian lingo for Junior Lifeguard Club, which is both a Lifesaving Society of Canada program. JLC has an actual program with lesson plans, or JLC can be the short form for just a Junior Lifeguard Club, what that looks like in different communities across Alberta. We have communities such as Wetaskiwin that are very competitive. Then we have communities such as Sherwood Park, which is east of Edmonton, where it's more of a casual, it's a club, right? The teens love participating. It's a great staff training opportunity. Stacy's here from Pearland, Texas. Andrea's happy about the sticker. Yes, so I'm working on my stickers. I also still have the mugs for the giveaway. I have all of those boxed up, but I have to pick up the postage scale from a colleague who's lending that to me. Welcome, Alana from Brilliant Community Center in Wisconsin. So interesting thing, I'll let the Americans know, in Canada, we actually spell center 2 different ways. So I've often been caught by American colleagues thinking I'm making a spelling mistake by spelling it center, C-E-N-T-R-E. But I find that actually very helpful in terms of distinguishing the center of a circle versus a center such as a building. So good morning, Danelle's here from Claris Home. Nice to see you, Danelle. I know you do some JLC programming in Claris Home, which is in Southern Alberta. Ashley's on your own, aquatics coordinator. Ashley's here as well from Farmers Branch, Texas. So those of you that were here a few weeks ago, we had Paul Macias from Farmers Branch Aquatic Center in Farmers Branch, Texas. Many of you will know their Instagram account, FBH20, with the cute little frog. They do some really, really great things on Instagram to engage their community. Paul was with us talking about how to use Instagram for aquatics. I will pop that link into the chat box. So those of you that weren't here for that session, I would encourage you to watch that session on YouTube. Paul gave some really great tips and strategies. If you're new to Instagram, you're new to using it to advertise your community. Let me go ahead and post this in the chat box. I'm also going to apologize in advance. I hope you can't hear it too badly right now, but the guys are out using leaf blowers to clear all the gravel. So the city or the town where I live is starting to pick up, do street sweeping. And so we have a lot of gravel and salt and dirt on the roads in Canada from our winters and our snow. They apply gravel to prevent cars from sliding. And when they come to do the street sweeping, they usually only do a pass around your area once or twice. And so my small development is trying to corral all of the gravel in one place, which is not very convenient for your audio. So I'm just looking. Danelle says they do 2 streams of Junior Lifeguard Club, competitive in Claris Home, as well as a sport version. So we use the program to build staff from a young age. So I think that's one of the things we're going to hear repeatedly in today's sessions. We have 2 presenters today, Adrian Spencer from near Halifax, Nova Scotia, Claudine Courteau-Godmaire from Montreal, Québec, and they will be sharing their experiences, and they're very different. So Claudine is more competitive, and then Adrian's club is more recreational, but also building up those future aquatic staff, those future youth leaders, those future swim instructors, those future life-saving sport officials. So welcome. I see Katie Wright is here from Clover, South Carolina. So she says we ran 2 times 1 week of the Junior Lifeguard program for the first time last summer. Hopefully that was a success for you, Katie. Was it well attended? What was the feedback? Let us know. Good morning, Vicky from Didsbury, Alberta. So we're having lots of people from all over Alberta. If you're just joining us, let me know where you're from. We do a little bit of a pre-show. Today I'm asking if you've done a Junior Lifeguard program at your facility. Is it a competitive sport program? Is it a pre-staff training program? Is it an at-risk youth program? Is it a summer camp program? A No School Friday program? Let us know how you do it in your community. And if you don't do it in your community, let me know if you want to start. I think a lot of people want to start. That's why you're here today. I see Christopher Mercer from St. John's, Newfoundland. I see Megan here from Lake Tahoe. Let me put in the sticker sign up link. I was just working through my list last night. I think I'm up to about 97 stickers. I ordered 500, so I still have a few more. Karen is saying that the YMCA USA, YUSA, just developed a course. Definitely interested. And so I think absolutely to your point, Karen, you can follow a formal curriculum. You can also look at your lifeguard programs, your life-saving programs, your advanced swimming programs, and take bits and chunks and make your own program for your community. So one example I can give is the YMCA of Wood Buffalo, which is in northern Alberta in Fort McMurray. Kendra Burgum Young, she's been there for 7 or 8 years. She wanted to do a junior lifeguard club. It wasn't working out so well. So she took her bronze medallion program, which is a life-saving course that you need in Canada to become a lifeguard in most provinces. And she's broken up her bronze medallion and bronze cross into 2-hour chunks on Wednesday after school. And it's rolling participation. So if I come to the bronze medallion class on Wednesdays, she tracks attendance, and I need to make sure that I attend week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, etc., and pass the course. But it's continuous rolling. The course keeps going. So every 6 or 7 weeks, week 1 happens again. Week 2 happens again. Week 3 happens again. And she told me that she started programming this course that way because there were many youth in the community that had part-time jobs to support their families. It's a very expensive place to live. A lot of families have kids and adults with multiple jobs. And she found that kids were missing days of the class, and it was very hard to make up. So rather than fault the kids for their life circumstances, she started to do the program rolling. So like I said, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. Then it repeats, always on Wednesday, always after school from 4 to 6 p.m. Now, that's not a junior lifeguard club per se, but she addressed a need in her community to provide life-saving skills, training opportunity for her youth, and looked at the best way to serve her community. So I'm just scrolling back up. Corey says that Tabor runs a junior lifeguard club. We have 2 sessions a year. It's open to the public, not competitive. So Tabor is in Alberta. Stacy Campbell is saying that they do not have a junior lifeguard program, but she's working to build one. So now's a great time to look at implementing. Danelle is saying with there being no summer swim club, so Alberta Swim Alberta has canceled the season for us here in Alberta this summer. Danelle is working to use Junior Lifeguard Club to fill the void when they reopen. So that's a great option. If you're just joining us, let us know where you're from. Let us know if you're currently doing any Junior Lifeguard Club programming, competitive life-saving sport programming, anything like that in your community, youth at risk program. Let us know what you're doing so we can get some ideas flowing. Everybody in this chat and webinar will have different solutions to your problem. Katie Wright is saying in Clover, South Carolina, they offered 3-week options last summer and only had signups for 2. So people, obviously, they help you program when they sign up for what they want. The majority of participants were from the swim team, but they loved the junior lifeguard program. That's great to hear. Taryn is here from Putnam, Connecticut, looking to build a junior lifeguard program at your YMCA. So somebody mentioned a little bit earlier, those of you in the United States, that YUSA has developed a curriculum. Everybody, so you know when you log into the chat or whenever you join the webinar, you can scroll up in the chat box and see what's already been mentioned. Just going to scroll for today. Brady is here from Boise, Idaho. They do a junior lifeguard boot camp. So it's a blending of lifeguard skills and fitness swimming for 11 to 14-year-olds. It's a feeder program to lifeguard classes. Students and parents love the fitness and the skill components. I love that idea of fitness. I know I was telling Adrian and Claudine yesterday in our pre-practice, I never thought of myself as an athletic person. When I was growing up, I only participated in soccer and swimming. My parents couldn't afford other sports. And so I assumed I was naturally not an athletic person until I went to university and I started trying out different things, you know, rock climbing, jiu-jitsu, boxing. And I realized that not all sports are team and not all sports involve equipment, right? Like football or baseball. So it's really great to provide youth the opportunity to experience other activities. Maybe they're not into swim club. Maybe they're not into water polo. Maybe life-saving sport or junior lifeguarding, life-saving in your community, whatever that looks like, is a good option to pique their interest. Andrea is saying in Charlottesville, she taught for a long time, but they haven't had a junior lifeguard club for years because the kids weren't signing up. They do have a volunteer program to develop future swim instructors and coaches. So volunteer programs can be great. Many high school and middle school students, they need volunteer hours. So why not have them assisting with your swimming lessons where they're under the direct supervision of a swimming instructor? Maybe you have them help on the pool deck with implementing and enforcing pool rules, or showering when people come out of the change room, or practicing customer service. These different clubs and activities will look different in every community. There's no right or wrong answer. Maya's here from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Colleen is here from Cave Creek, Arizona. Colleen, let us know, what is that close to your Cave Creek? Is that, I know a little bit, Phoenix, Scottsdale, Flagstaff, Tucson. Let me know where you're close to. Glenn is here from Hawaii. Welcome, Glenn. Very happy to have someone from Hawaii. I don't know that we've had anyone yet, so welcome. My husband and I went to Oahu 12 years ago, loved it. The North Shore, right, starting on the North Shore, Matsumoto's Shaved Ice. We stayed on the western coast, Ko'olina. Didn't go to Waikiki too much. It was very touristy, obviously. Went to the Pearl Harbor Memorial, went to the crater. What is I'm just remembering the crater over on the east side of the island, Diamond Head Crater. So loved our time in Oahu. We were supposed to cruise to Hawaii from Vancouver this September, but we have canceled that. It's not in our best interests, I think, in terms of the cruise industry may feel that they're ready to start cruising again, but we're not prepared to cruise this September. So we'll have to do another Hawaii trip. Welcome, Hannah's from Cold Lake. They run a junior lifeguard club years ago. Sorry, they ran a junior lifeguard club in Cold Lake, Alberta, and they're hoping to get it going again. So looking to get more recommendations, Glenn is saying. That's absolutely the goal today. So we'll have our presenters, but we also have the chat box, the pre-show, and a short after show to see other ideas that people are using in their community, whether it's Canada or the US, different options. Luis is here from Castaic, California. They were given the assignment to develop a junior lifeguard program, so this session is going to be helpful. I hope we can give you some good ideas to get started. Sam is here from Rochester Swim Club in Rochester, Minnesota. So they're starting a junior lifeguard program for non-competitive, so non-competitive swimmers to start, mostly as a feeder program for several pools that you operate. That's okay. I mean, there can be an underlying reason. Maybe there is a high drowning, a rate of fatal drownings or drownings in your community that you want to address. Maybe competitive swimming is not affordable for community members. Maybe there is a high rate of other concerns, safety, water safety. You want to address different issues, and creating a different type of program, whether it's a competitive sports club, whether it's a youth club, there's all different styles. We'll get lots of ideas today. So Colleen says Cave Creek borders on Scottsdale and the North Valley. So I was just in Scottsdale last summer in August. Don't recommend going to Arizona in August. It was so hot. You burn your hand on the steering wheel. It was like 125 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 Celsius. Kelly Martinez, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, she let me come see her at her job, City of Phoenix, and she hosted us at the Cortez Pool. I was doing some podcast recording with the Pool Chasers. So there's a podcast series called Pool Chasers. I recorded 2 episodes with them, and Kelly was gracious enough to set us up at the Cortez Pool so I could give the guys a tour of a commercial pool as part of the CPO class, the Certified Pool Operator class that I did for them. So we've got Mako here, was a former junior lifeguard at the pool years ago and now work as an instructor teaching life-saving skills and water safety. Hello, Danita from Derby, Kansas. Colleen is asking, so does anybody in the chat box have a link for that YUSA Junior Lifeguard program? If somebody can put that link in the chat box, that would be great. Or I will look for it when I'm doing the show notes for today later. I will add that to the show notes. Let me go ahead and give you guys the show notes for today, the link. One moment. So if you're new to one of these webinars, the show notes are pre-populated with the slides from the presenter. I will pin that in the chat box. One moment. And then later, a couple days later, I go back and I update the show notes with the YouTube recording, as well as I go through the chat box and list all of the links that are shared. So for example, I just shared today on the Lakeview Aquatic Consultants Facebook page the show notes from Friday. I am a little bit behind this week. Typically the show notes are posted within 48 hours, but this week I am teaching the Certified Pool Operator course online to my students in the afternoons. So that's 16 hours of my week. I've been a little bit tied up. So a little bit of a delay this week. Just scrolling. I see Julie's here from Perryville, Missouri. Alyssa from Frederick, Maryland. Christopher is saying they wrote a paper on life-saving sport for university. Awesome. Programming and program evaluation. It can service multiple needs. Christopher is saying staff development, capturing kids who would exit learn to swim programs, as well as capturing kids who would leave other programs. So that's good. Good morning. I see Andrea's here from Vancouver. I see Jody here from Tucson, Pima County. Sherry from Portland, Texas. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we'll be starting a few minutes after the hour. My name is Katie. We do a little bit of a pre-show. And this morning we're talking about, do you have a junior lifeguard program or club in your community? What form does it take? Is it competitive? Is it recreational? Is it once a week? Is it during camp season? Is it on no school days? What does that look like? Everybody in the chat box is looking to get ideas about what works in different communities. Jessica's here from Chandler, Arizona. Erica's here from Dallas, Texas. Stephanie's here from Federal Way Community Center in Washington. They have a 2-week junior guard camp, day camp. And then lifeguard CPR first aid skills are included with swimming lessons, team building, love team building. We need team building and leadership in these courses, as well as fitness components. Sherry is saying most of the lifeguards at her facility come from the JLC program, so it's a great feeder to a lot of the points that have been made. Carrie's here from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Brittany's here from Indianapolis. Sherry says that they do a 1-week camp during the summer, all day for the whole week. Good to know. Lots of people typing. Melissa from Colorado. Dawn's here from Sedona. Kristen is saying they have a junior lifeguard program May through July that meets once a week. Participants get first aid and CPR certified, and they help with swim lessons. That's a great idea. Hello, Erin is here from Estevan, Saskatchewan. So Erin is a aquatic facility manager in Saskatchewan. She's also the lead organizer for the Saskatchewan and Manitoba Water Safety Conference, Canadian Red Cross Water Safety Conference. That is coming up in 2 weeks. If you are in Canada or anywhere that would like to attend, they have a very affordable, I believe it's two days, 1 day online conference that they are running. I believe it's $80 Canadian to attend. So if anybody's interested, Erin will get you to post that link in the chat box. I will be doing a short session on the Tuesday, $70 Canadian. And for my American friends, so you know, the Canadian dollar is way, way undervalued. So even those of you that were looking at the online CPO classes that I am offering, I do online pool operator courses right now during COVID. And I spoke with someone who had sticker shock because they saw $450. And I said, no, it's Canadian. That's 40% less. So be aware, sticker shock. The Canadian dollar right now is very weak compared to the US dollar. The US dollar goes quite far. So welcome everyone. If you're just joining us, we're sharing different things that we do in our community for Junior Lifeguard Club, or whether we do life-saving sport. We will get started a few minutes after the hour, so welcome if you are here joining us. I have pinned these show notes in the chat box for today. Earlier in the chat box, I also mentioned that the show notes are now up for Friday's session. That was the cross-country checkup, the call-in talk discussion we had. Those are now fully updated. The YouTube link is up. The show notes are very, very meaty. Lots of great resources that were shared, including sanitation standards for YMCAs doing emergency childcare, as well as some different lesson plans that were shared, some Redwoods resources. So I would definitely encourage you to go and check out the link to Friday's show notes. Let me go back. I'll pin that temporarily. I'm working on Monday's show notes. I'm a bit behind just due to CPO. There's also the sticker sign up. So last call if you'd like to receive a sticker or trade a sticker. Thank you. Karen has pinned the YUSA, or rather she's shared the YUSA link for Lifeguard Development Program. Kat is here from Overland Park, Kansas. Sarah's here from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Wonderful. So Sarah runs a JLC program once a week with H2O Academy. So different branches of the YMCA. That's excellent. We've got representation from all over today. Hello, Kelly's here from Phoenix. I gave Kelly a shout out earlier. Kelly was in Phoenix. She hosted me last summer when it was so hot. And Kelly also provided a session a couple weeks ago. If you weren't able to attend, she talked about foam and vomit in lifeguard training. So I'm going to pin all of the show notes are available on the link. I'll pin it in the chat box. And in a moment or two, I'll do introductions. I see Adrian and Claudine are here. So let's just give people a minute to realize it's the hour. I know for me, I look at the clock and go, oh, where am I supposed to be? What time is it? So thank you to those of you who are here. Let me pin in the chat box. I have pinned all of the different webinars are available on that main page. If you're new here, we do have webinars currently scheduled until May 11th. Later today or tomorrow, I will be advertising the next two webinars that I have booked, May 13th, May 15th. I always release those first on our Facebook page. So let me put that in the chat box. So all of the new webinar sessions are released first on Facebook, then they go to the link that's pinned in the bio. Other couple links I'll just pop in the box before I do my introduction, and then I will introduce Claudine and Adrian. So I've had a couple of DMs about CPO. I am doing certified pool operator courses this week. If you missed it, I do have sessions coming up in May, both US Imperial for Americans, and then I have Metric for Canadians, or anybody who'd like to participate anywhere from around the world. Do not have sticker shock. The price is in Canadian dollars. It is less than the US dollar, so just be aware. If you have questions, you can message me, email me. Those are the registration links. So thank you. Erin has posted the link to the Canadian Red Cross Manitoba and Saskatchewan Water Safety Conference coming up in 2 weeks. I will be delivering a short session in there. The sticker session, Christine, is if you're interested in trading stickers or receiving a sticker. I think I've taken all of mine upstairs, but we were just doing some sticker trades. So if you have stickers for your aquatic facility, your lifeguard staff, you'd like to trade, I'll send you one of mine. If you don't have a sticker, that's also fine. Just I'll send you one of mine. I spoke to a couple facilities that do magnets for their staff. That's kind of cool. So physical sticker, like this is a business card, but physically it's a sticker you would receive in the mail with your post person delivering it to your house or your office. Okay, so the sticker basically just looks like this. It's basically the logo. It's not a fancy sticker. It's just the logo. So I'm going to do my welcome, and then I'm going to pass it over to Adrian and Claudine. So thank you, everyone who is here. Thank you to those that are coming in. It is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. Still the same year. Doesn't it feel like the year has taken forever? Even I was commenting somebody on a post yesterday on Facebook, and they said something I had been working on for the last couple of months. And the last couple of months, these webinars have only been happening for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Okay, so it feels like a lifetime, but this is only 6 or 7 weeks in. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Katie Kreisdale. I had a question I'll just address briefly in an email the other day. So somebody asked, who's putting on these webinars? So Lakeview Aquatic Consultants is my business. I am putting on these webinars free of charge. Every presenter is donating their time, their resources, so there is no charge to watch the webinars. They will always be free and available in perpetuity on YouTube. You can add them to your playlist. You can watch them later. You can send them to your staff. They're not going behind a paywall. I'm not making any money off of them. I have refused sponsorship from some brands that have wanted to be pay to play. And so basically it's just me and different organizations that have promoted or supported it through their reshares and what have you. So I'm going to introduce today's speakers. Today we're going to hear from Adrian Spencer. He's near Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Claudine Courteau-Godmaire near Montreal, Québec. They're going to be talking about Junior Lifesaving Club, life-saving sport, different ways that they've used life-saving and life-saving programming and competitions in their life and how it's benefited them. They're going to take two different perspectives of how they have clubs here in Canada. And it may or may not be directly applicable to you, but the idea is to get you thinking, how can you use life-saving sport, junior lifeguard programs, water attendant, slide attendant programs to really start benefiting your community. Do you want me to load the survey or you just want the PowerPoint?
Yeah, if you want to load the survey, it's a good thing to start with. So if you guys don't mind, just go on and click through that survey there. It's just a simple one. It's pretty anonymous. It's just so we can get a gauge of where everybody is with today's talk, kind of how everybody, what they're already doing, what they know about this and stuff, just to kind of get people engaged. So if everybody can go and do that, Katie will pop the results up there in a few minutes and everybody will get to see the results, but your specific answers will be anonymous. As Katie said, I'm from Nova Scotia. I've been doing life-saving sport in various capacities for almost 20 years now. I mostly do coaching and event support now. I don't compete very much. And Claudine, you want to take a moment to chat about yourself before we get into the PowerPoint?
Well, I'm going to present everything I'm doing later.
Okay.
I don't know if this sound is good. I have a big feedback from your computer, so I don't know if it works for everyone.
Try that again. I'll mute my mic to make sure that yours isn't as bad.
Yeah, I think there was feedback when I was talking. I think it's better now. Yeah. Well, you can go ahead, Adrian.
So Katie's got some results popping up there already. About 70% of people jumped on and threw up some responses. So looks like about about a third of the people know about life-saving sport in some fashion. We've got a fairly good spread on people that are already running one or have one in their vicinity. That's good. And few people on here that have staff that compete. That's great. And few people that got staff that volunteer. Cool. Awesome. So that gives us kind of a good baseline, knows that what we prepared is going to be pretty much in line with what everybody's voting for there. So I just got to move my thing so I can get to the start. Okay. So we've got a little bit of a presentation up here for you guys. We're going to talk about engaging youth and developing a lifeguard club. As I said, I'm from Nova Scotia. I've been doing life-saving sport for about 18 years now. I began lifeguarding in the summer of 2000 at a paddling club here in Nova Scotia. Helped out a little bit with junior guards and life-saving programs at that club and went on to coach a group of the kids that wanted to do lifeguard competitions. Canada used to host Junior Lifeguards as a national championship. The last year that it was hosted was here in Nova Scotia. We had a really good team went out to it. We had a lot of athletes that wanted, a lot of kids that wanted to go and try it out. We ended up winning, but by a huge amount because we had a lot of kids that had a really strong sport background that were also super keen. So their skills transferred over really well. Shortly after that, I kind of started getting into it myself, started to do a bit of the competing and organizing my friends at the pool and trying to round up people to go out. From that point forward, it just kept snowballing. Kept getting more and more people at the pool, kept going to more and more competitions, and have been to a couple national pool competitions and a few beach competitions when they were here in Nova Scotia for nationals. And since then, I've gone on to mostly offer support. That photo of me there, all done up in the survival suit, that's from this last year at the Surf Nationals. I set most of the courses and do the safety supervision. And I joke that I'm the lifeguard who lifeguards the lifeguards. So when Claudine and them are all on the start line, I'm the one out on the course, making sure that they're not cheating. And if anybody gets into trouble, I'm the one that gets them out of trouble. I've done a lot of development in the last few years. My focus is generally on introducing people to the sport as opposed to the higher end athletes of the sport. So I'm more about getting people involved right from junior guards to people helping out at competitions, encouraging my kids to learn how to be rescue watercraft operators, coaches, managers, officials on the deck, because without that stuff, we don't have competitions. So we can round up athletes all we want, but it's good to also remember that we need volunteers and stuff as well. So the program that I run, it's evolved over the years, and about 2004 is when me and my fellow staff started competing. We came up with the name of the Guardians in around 2008. We were working with the city of Halifax at the time and competed with them. 2013, we saw a little bit of a revival. We brought juniors into the mix, and it actually spurred a bunch of the older kids back into it. I say kids, they're like early 20s. People that were kind of out of lifeguarding, but getting involved with the kids again and mentoring them kind of lit a spark under them and brought them back into the sport for a year or two, which was really cool to see. And that program ended up taking off and is still running when the pool's open in the community pool here. And we run with about anywhere between 10 and 20 kids a session. When we started the Guardians, and to this day, we're still pretty big on trying to help out stuff that's going on. We were the major human resource for when Nova Scotia launched their initiative for trying to put all grade 3s through the Swim to Survive program, which is a program here in Canada. And the idea is 3 essential water safety skills taught 3 times to be able to kind of increase kids, to keep people's kids in the, to give kids better water safety, so we hopefully in the future see less drownings. When that started, it was launched here and they needed lots of volunteers, and the Guardians were a major part in helping that for the first couple of years. We actually did it kind of hand in hand. We did it as a way to help support our club, so the fees that they were, or the wages that they were paying to the staff, our kids just put it into a pool for our club to help pay for like national trips and registrations and stuff like that. So we did it to help support the program, and they helped us by supporting us for going to more competitions and stuff. The way our program runs, in the winter time, we run weekly. The facility manages all the registrations and stuff, and we run a 1-hour program once a week for anybody that wants to come out. Out of those kids, and for any of the older staff members and stuff, we also try to hold weekly training sessions for them to come out and practice the sport as well. When it comes to the summer, we're a little bit more sporadic and informal, mainly because the age of the kids that I work with Tends to be hard with a summer vacation schedule, families to try and get young teenagers out to the beach on a regular basis. They're usually getting drug in many different directions for different things. They're going to day camps, they're going to vacation properties or away for vacation and stuff with the family. So the summer tends to be a little more informal than I would like to be, but it's just about getting the kids out in the water. When we get them out in the water, the focus for them is on getting them comfortable in the surf, teaching them some surf skills, the basics of how to read the ocean, how to keep themselves safe, and how to be comfortable. We also take out the older kids and have started to train them in operating the PWC, as well as learning to do pickups and victim stuff with that. We train them both as drivers and, as we've nicknamed it, sled monkeys. So the kid that's on the back that's scooping up a victim and getting them out of the water. One of the things that we've focused on and has worked out quite well for us, I have a jovial saying that I use with the kids, and at first they kind of get a little weird about it, but then they start to laugh and they enjoy it. And I basically tell them, I say, everybody sucks at something, so embrace the suck. The theory behind that is we want the kids to try things. If they're failing and sucking at stuff, that means that they're trying. And what I've realized with having that mindset with them is the embarrassment factor goes away, because now they all start laughing at each other, and in a fun way, because they're celebrating the failure. They're celebrating that somebody has tried something. So when we do things like, you know, trying to get a brick off the bottom of the pool and the 10-year-old can't get it and they're all laughing and going on, they're embracing that they're even trying that, as opposed to just being embarrassed because they can't make it. So it's been a really cool way to kind of turn a negative thing into a positive thing, and our club seems to really thrive with it. I don't recommend it for everybody. It takes different kids and different instructors are going to have their own methods. And with just the way that I carry myself and do things, it works well for us. The pool sessions, the facility that we're at hosts 5 blocks, usually an 8-week session in the fall, 8-week session in the winter, 4-week mini session between winter and spring, a spring session, and then a 4-week mini session between spring and the end of the school year. They handle all the registration. They do the program all through that. So we use it as kind of a collaboration. We help out with doing the instructing for it. And then as kids start to show promise within it, they're stronger, they're keener, they fit in with the older kids and stuff, we start to let them come join into the other trainings and do the competitions. At the start of each session, we go through a bit of a kind of a brief overview with them. We run through, see what their swimming skills are like, and adapt each session to splitting up the kids and working on what they need to. We have been very open with our stuff because we're not overly taxed on the amount of kids that we get versus the resources we have to teach. So we don't really have a problem taking everybody. And we've had kids in there that, you know, basically really should have been in like Swim Kids 4. And then we use it as a breeding ground to get people ready to go on and do their bronze courses. So we want it to be a strong foundation for everybody. So when they do their bronze courses, they're more successful with it. And they're in a little better position for the facility staff when they're ready to be hired. They already know the ins and outs. They know how the facility operates. They know all the lifeguards. They're the pool rats that have been there all the time and like to be there. As I said before, the beach sessions are a little more informal. We take anybody out who is a lifeguard, and for juniors, we kind of need to know them beforehand because sometimes we're out in quite cold water, quite messy conditions, so we need to be confident with them. So we kind of screen them through the pool session in the winter to be like, hey, you know, we're going to the beach this summer. You're invited, you're invited, you're invited. We haven't really had a problem with people being offended by not picking or not. We kind of judge it by who's showing the interest. so that we know who to bring into the realm and who to ask. Yeah, outside of that, I think that's pretty much my overview. I think I can let Claudine roll with hers now.
Yes. Okay. So hopefully everyone can hear me. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to share about my passion today with you. And like what we've seen in the beginning, the information in my presentations are addressed to mostly people who have little or no knowledge to life-saving sport. So if you have like more detailed questions about like club management or competitive training, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm pretty sure that Katie's going to share our contacts or email address after. And if you've seen my name, you can probably tell that English is not my first language. So I thank you for your patience if I'm looking for my words. So I'm moving to a bit of my background in lifesaving. I've started in 2008 when I was 15 as an assistant lifeguard in a private beach. And this is where I discovered life-saving sport. There was a recreative club there, and I've worked there for 5 years, and I probably fell in love with the sport then, and I decided to put a bit more effort into the club. And when I was when I was 18, I decided to organize my first provincial meet, just even if I was very new to the sport. And after that, I decided to take bigger challenges, and I spent 3 summers in the East, like American East Coast, in the Ocean City Beach Patrol in Maryland. And I've discovered a complete different way of training and competing in lifesaving. So when I came back, I was really motivated to develop more the lifesaving in Québec and Montreal. So I've created my own club. And a year after, I created a company, if I can say it like that, to have more latitude in like what we could do and organize. And I kept training a lot to in life-saving sport, and I got selected on the national team in 2017. And since then, I'm always training and competing at a high level. So when I got selected, I spent almost a year training in New Zealand with the best team over there. And when I came back, I brought back like all the knowledge and the experiences from New Zealand and Australia. And since I came back, I've been the manager at the Olympic Stadium Sports Center. So I also have the opportunity to share and develop lifesaving over there. So our goal with creating our life-saving club and a company is really to create a community. So we want to be able to train athletes and have a pool of athletes, and they do their life-saving classes, and we do water safety events for sports events. So we employ our athletes, and we also do day camps during the summer, so we can recruit athletes from our day camps, and we employ our athletes so they can teach life-saving over there. So it's really it's a really big community that we're trying to build. And we also, with the company I've created, we also do training in Australia, so the kids can get their bronze medallion over there. So it's a bit of not a challenge, but a goal for them when they start doing life-saving. They see what they can achieve, and they have good role models. So we always encourage kids to go like over the limits and show them that everything is possible. So back to my club. It was initially created in the 80s at the beach, the private beach where I was working, but it was really like only dedicated to the lifeguards over there. And it was really recreative. And so when I came back from the States, we decided to, we wanted to expand it and reach more people. So we created a nonprofit organization. So it's kind of outside of the beach now, and we train like in other places like the Olympic Stadium. We train on the St. Lawrence River, but we kept the private beach as a good training spot. So we're based in Montreal in the South Shore, and not even a year after we've been created, we became Canadian Surf Lifesaving Champions. So we're pretty proud of that. We have about 50 active members. It's mostly during the summer. During the winter, it's a bit harder to be in contact with all the athletes. They're aged between 6 and 40, like I wrote, but most of our athletes are between 15 and 30 years old. So during the winter, they're busy with school and they'll go back to their hometown. So the goal of our club is really to promote lifesaving in the community and develop athletes and also develop the sport. So we create new competitions and new ways to reach people and so they can learn about lifesaving. So what our training structure look like, it's really different from Adrian's club. We're really more focused on competition. So we have an elite team and we have up to 10 trainings per week. So we will have board and surf ski trainings every morning, running and open water swimming at night, and the Saturday morning we have the big ocean men and ocean women session. And we also have the recreational team. It's mostly for fun and they do more kind of games and initiation to competition. And so during the winter it's the opposite, where we try to have multiple training sessions, but it was not working, so we stayed to one team training per week. So we do a big pool session with everyone, but the athletes, they have to swim at least 3 times per week, and they have a training plan with a fitness trainer that they have to follow. So just an example for you, if like our pool sessions, we do some swimming technique and like a warm-up. We will work on the life-saving techniques for about 30 minutes with the mannequin and the buoys and the fins, and we're going to do a main set. And for the surf and the beach sessions, we have a specific set for the board or the surf ski, or also for the running, we have intervals or sprinting or beach flag starts. And this is where we found that in different clubs, it was often lacking of like a training structure. Like we would have a board and everyone would be like, okay, let's go for a paddle. But it's really important to build in like an actual training plan and a session if you want to see good results. And yeah, about our Junior Lifeguard Club, it's mostly on the beach, at the private beach in the campground. They have 2 to 3 trainings per week. It's about an hour long, and they learn basic water skills like water entry, open water swim. They're going to do a bit of running or board, and it's mostly focused about having fun and being together with their friends, and they have a bit of an initiation. Well, they're initiated to competition, but it's not mandatory. And we also ran day camps. So it was a mix of life-saving classes, and they usually are like 20 hours long. So we would fill the rest of the week with life-saving sport activities or just water-related activities. And it was working out well because the kids could get their award at the end of the week, but they could also discover the sport. So about the competition, so for people who are not familiar with that, we have regional, provincial, and national competitions. And what is great, it's that it's all open. Compared to what I've seen in the States when I was competing over there, there is often a limit, like one person per team per event. And sometimes it would be limited as well with like one female per team. So for me, when I started, I was not an athlete at all. So having that kind of limitation is a bit hard because I would have probably stopped from the start. So this picture is in New Zealand. The goal is to have competitions like that over here. So the main events, for those who don't really know what lifesaving sport is, you have the surf ski, the board, and the open swim. They vary. Like the open swim is about 400 meters, and the board and the surf ski are about 600 to 700 meters, and you do an apex shape. And you also have the Ocean Man, Ocean Woman. That includes the three events, and the order is always random. And you also have the running events. You have beach flags. It's a 20-meter sprint, about 20 meters. And you also have a 2K beach run, 90-meter sprint, and a sprint relay. And you have team events, so board rescue and tube rescue. So you have a swimmer that swims out, and they get rescued by their teammates. And you also have a Taplin relay, which is Ocean Men, but in a team. And for the pool events, it's a bit more accessible because you only need mannequins, buoys, and fins. I don't know if Adrian, if you wanted to say something about that.
Yep, no problem. I'll give you a break from talking. Yeah, in the pool, the events are not quite as clear cut to be able to display a picture that shows them very easily. But generally, there's mannequin carrying with and without fins. There's mannequin towing, which is a half full mannequin, and the competitors need to clip a rescue tube around the mannequin. That event is only ever done with fins. There is an obstacle relay or an obstacle swim done as individual and relay, which sees a barrier placed in the lane at 12.5 meters off the wall. If it's a 25-meter pool, that's the middle of the pool. If it's a 50-meter pool, that's one barrier off of each end wall with a 25-meter section in the middle with no barrier. And the barrier hangs down the lane about 3/4 of a meter, so it's 65 or 70 centimeters deep. And in American speak of inches, that's about 24 to 30 inches. Deep, I can't remember the dimensions exactly off my head, but it's roughly around that. And you just swim along and have to go under it. The final event, which Claudine hates, but I love, is line throw. It is my favorite because it requires zero swimming ability and lots of just big, strong power. You have a line stretched out to your victim, and you pull it in and throw it back out to your victim. If they can reach it, they grab onto it, and you pull them back to the side of the pool. The final event that we also do in there is called a Super Lifesaver, which is a combination of a 100-meter mannequin carry and a 100-meter mannequin tow. So you swim and with no fins, collect a fully filled mannequin off the bottom of the pool, drop that, put your fins in a rescue tube on, swim your distance to get your half full mannequin, and then tow the mannequin. And it is only 200 meters long, but anybody that does it curses it and swears that it's longer than doing an ocean person event in the ocean, because it is the longest 200 meters you'll ever swim. It sucks, but some people love it. Oh, and there is one more event, which is rumored to have been born out of a tragedy that Katie's Lakeview Aquatics had actually just posted a comment about the other day on her page. It's called the Rescue Medley. The purpose of that event was to kind of simulate an event that happened where a roof collapsed on a pool and people had to swim under that roof to get to an air pocket where there were victims. So it is a very challenging event. You have to swim 17.5 meters underwater to grab the mannequin, and you can't surface until you have the mannequin. If you surface without the mannequin, you're DQ'd. And again, that's one of my favorite events too. Yeah, so that's kind of the quick overview of the pool. The pool runs very similar to kind of a swim meet atmosphere. So you run heats, and then group the fastest people, run more heats, and keep going. The other surf events and stuff run on the beach. As Claudine was going through those, like they're kind of similar to like a track meet. So you have multiple events running in different venues all over the pool, all over the beach. So they're kind of a combination between like track meet and swimming meet at a pool. What's next there, Claudine?
Well, we're moving into the night stuff. I don't know if you can close your sound because there's a big feedback. Great, thank you. Yeah, so we're moving into the interesting part. Why creating a club and how, some tips that could help you if you're thinking about it. So some reasons why it's a really good idea or good reason to create a club or a junior guard program. It's because it's a very accessible sport. So compared to other sports, the costs are really low. If you're running a session at the pool, usually it's going to be the same price as like any other swim lessons. And mostly with the pool events, it's not too expensive for the material. Like to start a club, you can train with like small fins and find tubes pretty much anywhere. You just need 1 or 2 mannequins and you're good to go. On the other side, for the beach trainings, you can start with open water and swimming and running and find an old board and start with that. That's pretty much how we started in our club. And we did some fundraising with like when we were younger, and we bought like more boards, and this is how we developed our club. And also anyone can participate. Like Adrian was saying, you can just participate to have fun and discover the sport. Or if you want to compete and want to win, you can also do it. And it reaches a lot of people with different backgrounds. It can be athletes or people who just finished their life-saving classes, or like people from the beach or the running or the kayaking backgrounds. So it creates a great dynamic. And for younger athletes, it's also a great sport because it doesn't only develop your physical abilities, but also you develop a lot your judgment and your teamwork, which is great compared to other sports like swimming. And also, I'm pretty sure we can say that having a club really builds your social circle, and like it's really great for the kids. And while on my side, it makes me travel, and it's great. I don't know, Adrian, if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with all that. Like one of the benefits that we've found is the camaraderie that comes out of it. And when Claudine says travel, like for some people that means halfway around the world to Australia, and for some kids that just means to the town next door. And that travel does build a lot of community between the kids. They, even a road trip 2 hours down the road to go to another pool, they kind of get a kick out of that, going to a new facility and stuff. So that travel part is really a big benefit of this, because it gets you out of your hometown. You see other lifeguards, you see other things, you see new techniques, you get to build better relationships with everybody that's around you too. And when you go back to your pool and you've got to work in an emergency situation, those relationships help make everybody communicate and work faster and better together.
All right. So from an aquatic facility manager point of view, it's really good for the staff recruitment. So I can tell because, well, since I've been in the manager at the Olympic Stadium, it's really easy and for us to recruit new staff because we have a lifesaving club, a big pool of athletes and lifeguards that are just always around the pool and ready to work whenever. So it's great for staff recruitment. And the staff, we can see that the staff members are more engaged and interested and up to date and definitely in better shape, and it gives a better image to the public and to your organization. And also the older staff members that are involved in lifesaving, they become role models for the younger kids, which is great. And it definitely creates a great community. So yeah, Adrian, do you want to add anything to that? No, are good. So some tips about how to create a club or a program. You need to think about who's around your pool or who do you want to reach. Like on my side, the people that we were reaching at my beach were already lifeguards. So they were 16, 17 years old and older, and the kids that were hanging out at the beach too. But for Adrian, it's totally different, and I'm going to let him talk about it maybe a bit later. And also you can define what your goals are. Do you want to just introduce people to lifesaving? Do you want to compete and develop lifesaving in your community? And what are your preferences? Or the people who are going to build the club, what are their preferences? On my side, I'm really more interested about the competitive side because I am extremely competitive. So when you're talking about doing more fun activities, I'm not really interested. And also once you've established that, you can define what your ideal structure is. So if you're an aquatic facility manager, it's going to be really easy to build it through your organization. Or do you want to build it through a facility, or do you want to partner with a city because they have a lot of resources and sometimes they're looking for that because it's good for their recruitment as well and their image? Or do you want to build a nonprofit or even a private organization? What structure is going to be the best for you and what you want to build? And after, you can find any kind of way to accomplish what you want. You want to build a lifesaving club, a junior guard program, or even lifesaving classes. At my pool, this year we developed a new class. So it's managed by our facility. So people register to it the same way they register to swim lessons. But it's a class focused on training, fitness for future lifeguards, if I can say so. So it's for people who are done with their swim lessons. They don't want to join a swim club, and they're too young to do their national lifeguard certification. So they're kind of age between 10 and 16, and they don't really know what to do. So we've created a class just to focus on the physical and fitness part. So they become in better shape and they're ready for their lifeguard award. And we all often find that kids struggle with the physical part more than the technical part in the lifeguard classes. So it's been really popular. We've had about 30 registration for the first time we've offered it. So it was just a great way to reach for kids that didn't have anything for their needs. Yeah, Adrian, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I would just reiterate the same thing. Like I saw it as the same thing, and that's how I got buy-in from the facility where I'm at, is they saw the value in supporting the program because of what the kids were that were coming out of it. We were, I was kind of making it up on the fly as I could to keep the kids entertained, and they showed interest in, co-teaching. So I was letting the 12-year-old and 13-year-old kids go join with the instructors at the facility. The supervisor would pair them up with good ones, and they would go co-teach. I had kids that were coming in and had more hours booked by the time they were 13 or 14 than they needed co-teaching to pass their Red Cross water safety instructors. And they loved it. And the facility loved it because they got to watch a whole bunch of kids that were, like Claudine said, between that age group where they're done their pre-lifeguard courses, but they're not quite ready to do their lifeguard courses yet, just solely because of their age. And the facility got to watch these kids, get groomed by their older instructors and be prepared for them. And, they were telling me things like, man, we can't wait to be able to hire them because these kids are already better than some of our weaker instructors because they're constantly in with the good instructors learning things. And the same held true for the skills. I have, 10-year-olds that can get the 20-pound brick off the bottom of the pool in the deep end. And, like Claudine said, that's one of a lot of the technical skills and the harder things in nationals for people to get their lifeguarding they struggle with. And, I have a whole crew of junior guards here now that can do all of the physical things for the national lifeguard certification in Canada. Those kids are well primed now for when they go on to do their stuff. So to be able to pass their courses easier, when they're doing screenings and stuff for summer jobs at the beach programs, they're going to score higher and get better positions and be in a better position to be able to be a stronger lifeguard. So, yeah. Do you want me to do the next one there, Claudine? Yeah, okay. One of the things I wanted to talk about too, and this is something where Claudine hit on it too, was, using the equipment and things, the traveling trips. That's all part of getting the kids to buy in. It's also part of getting the staff that you may have to get to run the program, or yourself if you're trying to run a separate standalone program. It's that you need that buy-in from people. So the kids, what I've found is they want to be part of something. They want something to do. In my neck of the woods where I'm working at, we joke about it that we're in a hick town. We've got 2 hockey rinks and everybody plays hockey. That's a boy. So the girls have nothing to do. So the girls in my program have been searching for stuff to do. And when they came across this, they came up, they really all of a sudden felt like they were part of something because they hadn't been able to really do these types of things before. They were able to do some recreation opportunities, but they weren't necessarily part of a team in a club. The branding that came along with that was really important to them. The logo, the name, the common attitude amongst everybody, that all really mattered to them. So much so that some of my kids, they get really snotty if a kid shows up for a session and it's when we're doing a t-shirt order and they buy a t-shirt and then they peace out and they never come back to another one. The girls get really offended that like those people haven't earned their shirts. So there's this really strong buy-in for the apparel, for the branding of the club. So they really like that stuff. We've also gone out of our way. It's one of the things that I've done as somebody who's a self-professed gear whore is I chase after pro deals and stuff. So I turn those back to my kids. We've had sponsorship from Subaru. We've had factory support from Jet Pilot wetsuits and PFDs, Electric Visual, all kinds of these high-end brands that people love. And it's just solely been, hey, we send off an email. My name is, we're with this club. We're a bunch of lifeguards. do you guys have a pro account? Do you have a pro deal that you do for people? And most times they've sent us back either, yes, here's the spreadsheet, fill out what you want, or here's a bunch of codes, spread it amongst your athletes. And the kids love that stuff. So it's, again, being part of something, and they're getting these little incentives and these things that they wouldn't get elsewhere, that make them feel like they're part of something and they're getting something out of it. They're getting paid back for their effort that they put in. And it's been really good for them. They really like that stuff. And as Claudine was mentioning, with the travel, with the equipment, when kids start to feel like they own some of that equipment, even if it's just simple surf fins, the rubber fins, they start to own that stuff and they feel like it's theirs. It adds to that club idea for them. And the travel, again, the social gatherings, whenever my club goes to a competition or anything, or helps out at a competition, we always make it a point that everyone is to go to a meal afterwards or before. So we make that clear with the parents beforehand that we're expecting everybody to come, to a local pub or something, wherever we can get in, and sit down and have a meal afterwards. And they've all really started to really enjoy that, and it helps add to that social aspect and unifies them as a group. Yeah. Anything else you want to add there, Claudine? No? Okay.
No.
What's the next one we got there? You want to roll with that one?
Yeah. All right. So because it's a very new sport, there's pretty much no limit to what you can do. I really encourage people to innovate and do new things, like new competitions or ways to train. What has been a really good thing for us, for our success, is that we got expertise from other places in the world, like New Zealand and Australia. Our coach, Marie-Hélène Paquette, she's been training in France and Australia, so we have a rich background from what the best in the world do. I know it's not possible for everyone to do that, but if you can get inspired by what they're doing out there, it's really great. They're way advanced, way more advanced than us. Like kids, they start at the age of 5 and 6 with a little board, and they just jump in the water, and they stay with the club for forever. And I think it would be great to see that in our community, to start having kids at a young age involved with lifesaving. Because on my side, in my club, it's mostly the opposite. Like people, they're done doing their life-saving classes, and then they discover what life-saving is. So yeah, we can just start new programs and get people involved, and also get expertise from other clubs, like swimming and kayak clubs, because they've been running for a while, so they can help you out with training programs or the structure, and finding new ways to create a social gathering, like Adrian was saying. In our club, we really focus on that as well. We do a lot of social well, when we were allowed to, we were doing a lot of social gathering, and we were trying to find also innovative ways to raise money, because it's not a really well-known sport, it's kind of a bit harder to get sponsors. So we were doing photo exhibitions. We teamed up with a photographer, and we were doing bids on pictures, and for this during the crisis, we're gonna sell handmade face masks to get money from the club. So any idea is good, but like I was saying, it's really good to get expertise outside of what we already know, and to get like high quality training for the coaches or for the people who are in charge of the club. And Katie wanted us to talk a bit about what we're doing during the crisis, and I'm pretty sure that all my team would kill me if they knew I was putting this picture in the presentation. But yeah, we're keeping in touch through Zoom. We're doing team meetings. Thank you, Adrian. And we're doing one training per week on Zoom. It's the Saturday morning. And we also provided to all the team members a training plan, including running and bodyweight training at home. So we're trying to stay in touch, and we're waiting. Like, we're really impatient to go back outside on the water. So Adrian, I don't know if you had anything else to add to that.
Yeah, one thing I'll add to the innovate stuff that she was talking about. I came into this stuff with not much of like a specific sport background. I come from more of like an action sports world. I grew up BMXing. I do a lot of snow skiing and stuff now. So one of the things that we've innovated with our crew is there's no real good nomenclature for the names of the different age groups. So we just kind of made one up. And in Australia, they use nippers for all the little kids. So what we did with the Guardians here is we did nippers was all the kids that were under 12. And we called all the 12 to 16-year-olds, basically the bronze level classes in Canada. That's all the like pre-lifeguarding classes. They're known as GROMs, which is taken out of like the surf community. That was another spot that we kind of innovated. Nobody else is really following it, but the kids really buy into it. It makes it easier for me to like split them up on the pool deck when I've got 18 kids out there. It's like, all right, nippers in this lane, GROMs over in that one. They all know which group they're in, and they kind of buy into it too. It's kind of that growing up through the ranks when they get to be a GROM, and then when they get to go on and be a lifeguard, it helps with it. As far as what we're doing during COVID, we don't really have much going on. I touch base with them through like a group chat on Instagram every once in a while, just to check in and see how everybody's doing. And yeah, we're mostly little kids on our end, so we're not really got much to do with them, unfortunately. As it gets nicer here, we'll probably start trying to communicate with everybody and see how they're doing and try to figure out something to get people moving. But yeah, I think that's about it. Do you have anything else you want to add, Claudine, or can we give it over to Katie? Okay.
Awesome. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
So I want to say a big thank you to Claudine and Adrian for presenting. I think this is a lot of different perspective, and I want to do a couple of short questions, but I want to reiterate that all the resources that have been shared in the chat box, including I'll pull the Alberta Junior Lifeguard Club life-saving sport lessons. They are actual detailed lesson plans here in Alberta to get people thinking about ideas. If anyone else has any lesson plans, resources, club pages, activities, anything you want to share as an open source, we'll host it on the website, but we'll give you full credit as to where it came from, but just giving people resources to get started. Adrian and Claudine, could you guys talk a little bit about, in your experience, what your participants, what their experiences have been coming out of these clubs or activities, like either success, life success, or youth experiences, like what they've loved about the programs you run?
You go ahead, Adrian.
Okay. I've got a couple of the kids that started out with the junior guard program are now full staff at the facility that we work at. So they've worked up through being junior guards and did all their courses and are now the lifeguards on the deck of the facility. And one of them is actually one of the girls who coaches with us now. So she's come up through it. The older staff of mine, one of the pictures that you saw there with all of us in the fancy dress, we're all like, we were actually at a wedding. So out of my original crew that grew between like '04 and like '08ish, or 2004, 2011, when that facility closed, that is the third wedding to come out of that group of people and the connections made through that. So that photo of us all dressed up is what we refer to as the OGs, the original gangsters or the original Guardians. So that was pretty much our whole club that had traveled to compete in Montreal a couple times for nationals back in the mid 2000s. So they've gone on to make lifelong friendships that have traveled all across the country, and that was a wedding between my friend who I know here from Nova Scotia and another friend of mine who I had met through the Dominican Lifesaving Program, who's a Canadian consulate officer in the Dominican. So that wedding spanned 2 countries and people traveling from all over the country to come back together for it. So it builds big connections and has been instrumental in a lot of those kids' lives. I have a couple other kids that have been involved in it, that their older siblings. I have one friend who his older siblings, were, and this is going to get kind of crass, but they were cutting coke and cutting up weed on the counter in the family kitchen. And he would come and hang out at the pool, and that kid did not follow in the path and the footsteps of everybody else in the facility, or in his family, sorry, because he had that place once a week to come hang out and be with us and have that positive influence. So some of these kids go a long way. The littlest things and that sense of community can be a huge impact for them. I've had some athletes, as much as I'm a developmental club, I've had, I think 4 of my kids now have gone on to be on the national team, have traveled to Australia, South Africa, Japan, New Zealand. So there is opportunities. Myself, I've had the opportunity to be involved with developing the Canadian program for Red Cross. I've been involved with developing programs with the Lifesaving Society. I've gotten to go to the Dominican 5 times and was instrumental in developing their first publicly lifeguarded beach in Punta Cana. So there's lots of stuff that can come out of this for people that get involved. That sense of community and wanting to go do things kind of starts to spiral, and they get hungry to go do more certifications, find more things out, and seek out more knowledge, and then the opportunities kind of start to follow that. Claudine, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, you've said a lot, and we have similar examples. It's been a safe space for a lot of kids that had like issues at home or personal issues. They were able to like stay connected with us, and they had great role models. So I'm pretty sure it's been helping a lot of young athletes. On the other end, for high level performance athletes, a lot of our, I would say, women athletes, they've been traveling in Australia, South Africa, France. One of our athletes been traveling to the UK, and she met her boyfriend, and she lives there now. So it creates a lot of opportunity for the athletes. One of our athletes, she started a junior guard program in Costa Rica, so it's worth checking out if you're interested. It's called Vamos Youth. So it's been a good start for a lot of people. Also, like athletes that have been involved in our board, it's a great reference. They've been able to get good jobs because they've been involved in a life-saving club. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it about positive experiences.
So just one or two other questions before I let you guys go. So it's April 2020, right? We don't know how long our swimming pools will be closed. If people are on this session wondering, what can I start now for maybe a fall junior lifeguard club to start, what couple steps or basics would you guys recommend to just start either? And we don't know what kind of club it'll be because we have to look at our community and see what our youth want. We might want competitive and maybe it becomes developmental, but what are some basic things you guys would suggest, if anything?
Adrian, go ahead.
Okay. I guess the first thing would be, your keen staff, and trying to find, if you're looking at it from a programming perspective, trying to have more programming in your offering, try to identify a couple staff who might be really interested and start grooming them to run a program in the fall. Help them get certified as a life-saving coach, give them some time to start developing lesson plans or an overview of what they think would be fun. You could also start looking at, if you have a swim team there, figuring out ways to partner with them and work with them. I know here in Nova Scotia, one of our facilities has done a really interesting thing where they call it the Swim Academy. Basically, they run the program themselves, and the kids sign up for what's called Swim Academy, and then within that, there's like I think 4 different arenas that they get to try out: life-saving sport, water polo, synchro, and competitive swimming. So they've taken upon themselves to have all of the sport and do it. So figuring out what your community already offers and what they have, can help give you a few months to start pruning some staff to be able to run some programming and stuff. Claudine?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we've been doing for the development of our new class. We've identified 2 good instructors that were also members of my lifesaving club, and we built and developed lessons plans for the 10-week session. And after we sold the idea to our boss, and that's how we started a new program. So I think it would be a great idea to just think about the structure in your lesson plans. And also you can learn about all the rules, and I'm sure in the States you have different manuals and rules about life saving and how it works. Here in Quebec we have a lot of detailed operations, or how to build your life-saving club. It's in French, but maybe you can check out if it exists with your life-saving society or organization.
Claudine, I love you brought up kind of my next question, which was going to be, let's say you have a passion for life-saving sport or making a club and you don't have the pool space. How do you convince your programmer or your aquatic manager that this is worth pool space?
Oh yeah, it's good. Well, we've talked about it. It's definitely good for recruitment, but it's a bit hard to be able to prove it because it's not really tangible. Our lifeguards are better. They're more attentive and focused and engaged. But in the long term, it's going to be rewarding. Short term, the bosses are not going to see the positive impacts, but in a couple of years, they won't have to work really hard to find new staff members. So I'm sure you have other things to add to that, Adrian.
The point about it being not tangible is definitely something I can relate to. Some of the links I just posted up there, a lot of these events may not translate to your pool and making better lifeguards for your pool. But what I found out of it is that the kids that were traveling and coming to the comps with us, the confidence they gained in themselves from that, even though they weren't practicing something like a spinal maneuver, to get somebody out of the water on a spinal board, just because they had that extra confidence in themselves and what they were doing and their pride in being a lifeguard, it all of a sudden started translating into seeing much better skills at the in-services, because those kids, they kind of had a bit of cockiness to them, like that ego boost that they got from being at the comps and stuff translated into them trying harder, being less scared of failing, and just going for it and figuring it out, even if they were unsure of something, which is very hard to translate to a manager or an accountant that's just looking at a spreadsheet, because it's not very tangible. But it does improve their ability to think through things, their critical thinking, their confidence to think on the spot and not be so, scared of making a mistake. And if they do make a mistake, figuring out how to just like fix it and move on and keep going.
And I love what you were saying, Adrian, was that the other guards, either the staff or the colleagues or the teammates, people are inspired when they see their colleagues do better. And I think that's going to come up again in a session on Monday, May 4th. We have Dominique McDonald. Many of you know her. She used to be at the University of Calgary. She started the Lifeguard Games at the University of Calgary 4 years ago. And that was really to try and inspire staff to be creative and be energized in a competitive environment, to get them practicing when maybe they weren't motivated to. They thought they were the best or they thought they were good, but how can we be creative and make it more fun? Last question I want to ask before I let you guys go. Do you have any tips or suggestions for either like 1 day, half day intro events, if people want to put something on the calendar for the fall, they don't want to commit to a full session or a season? Any suggestions for like mini events you guys have done, open house?
Well, for us, we always do, it's always open house, so you can always bring a friend and we're always gonna welcome them. You can join whenever. But we do a bigger event at the beginning of the season, the beach, the summer and the winter season. We advertise it, so anyone who wants to try, they're more than welcome. We try to advertise a bit more in the at the end of life-saving classes and be like, okay, you're done, you're ready, you can come and try with us. But it's a bit hard to keep track with that. But it could be I know during the National Drowning Prevention Week, I don't know if it's the direct translation, they have a day that they do life-saving events open to the public. So it can be a great way to also a good way for fundraiser. It's an open house, come try and I don't know, compete against one of our athletes or bring a friend and do really recreative way, competitions. I think I don't know if you have other ideas, Adrian. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good. That's kind of the same. Maybe a pizza party. Kids love pizza.
Last question, just because I see it in the chat box. Noreen from Ottawa is asking about funding of the club. So I assume you guys have membership dues or program dues. Could you just let us know?
For us, it's really important to keep the registration fees really low because we want to keep it accessible. But it's a bit harder to manage because most of our athletes are in college or university, so they don't have much money for sport and they don't have much time for fundraising. So, but we try to just have the fees for pool time, the coaches, and a minimum of equipment. And if we want extra, we're going to do fundraising. We really try to organize at least one pool competition and one beach competition, and it's a great way to to get like raise money, and we also have a bit of sponsors, but we yeah, it's a struggle to keep it low cost and accessible for everyone. And after we also in our structure, we're gonna, like every competition, we're gonna charge a coaching fee just for the athletes who are going to the competition. So it's not like, because we want to make the competition not mandatory. Adrian.
We haven't quite made the leap to charging fees. I'm a sucker for punishment, so a lot of it has come out of my own pocket or my own sweat. Most of our clubs, summer gear, boards, surf skis, etc., are decrepit ones that get retired from the local lifeguard services. And then I spent a lot of time doing fiberglass repair and learning that I don't ever want to be a surfboard shaper. For the program that runs at the pool, that's done directly through the pool. So the pool gives us kind of free reign as long as we don't interrupt any of the space. So for those of us that are in like the club side of it that want to train, as long as we don't interrupt their programming, we can stay after the facilities program is done running. We'll stay and swim for an hour or so while the pool is still open, or we'll come in another night of the week where it's quiet. So we have that luxury because we have it's a small community, and it's, they're not totally jammed with programming. So we have some flexibility. And as far as like some other equipment, we'll do a t-shirt order or a sweatshirt order, and what we make off of that will go back into doing a order of fins from Defin. And again, we'll reach out to them and get an industry discount and stuff to help cut the cost down and put that discount back into being able to buy more equipment. But we're not really at the point where we have money coming in. I would love to be, but we haven't quite graduated and made it there. So
but if it can be funded by like a city or a way bigger organization, I think it's the best way. We've had an example in Québec. It's the city of Gatineau. It was run by the city, and they had pretty much unlimited resources, and they knew that the athletes were a good good staff, and it worked out really well. So it's always easier when you have a bigger organization with you.
Yeah, right. And when I was with sorry, I'll just jump on that too. When I was with the city of Halifax, when we kind of initially launched the name of the Guardians, we had really good support from the city. My whole time there, I think they were paying our fees right through from when I started in like 2004 till we closed the facility in 2011. They were paying for our competition fees pretty much the whole way along. Our local Lifesaving Society also usually has some form of grants and stuff in place too that were helping us out. But it comes down to figuring out what you want to do. I will caution that gravy train sometimes looks better than it is. When you are completely owned by the municipality, you're a little more restricted. So for us, we had some struggles with personal conflicts within the club, and people running, crying to different managers, stuff that had nothing to do with it. We also, we're trying to gain some sponsorship and have some extra money come in. But when you're a municipality going around and asking for sponsorship, it kind of gets difficult. So it kind of depends on what your budgets are and what you are looking to accomplish. There's pros and cons to everything. If you do, like in Claudine's example of Gatineau, that they've got a really good supportive municipality. I had a wonderfully supportive one at the time, then that's great. But sometimes those relationships get strained or those budgets get cut, and then you're stuck. The flip side of that is, when you try to go fully independent, like I've been kind of doing for the last decade, it's almost decade. It's difficult because you're trying to tread that fine line between asking the kids to pay you a yearly registration and commit and give them enough bang for their buck and still be able to have all the equipment and stuff that you want. And so there's pros and cons to both ways, and just to make sure you figure out what works really well for yourself.
Yeah, and I just want to add, I just want to add to that. Because we were talking about the structure, like which structure is gonna last the longer in time. Because for me, and I think for Adrian, it really relies on us. While me and my partner Marie-Hélène, we're pretty much the two holding the club, and when we're kind of busy with life, like the club's not like as dynamic as it usually is. So it's really important to think about the long term, like what structure is going to last and be kind of independent of who's running it. It's definitely going to take a leader to start it, but if you don't want to be stuck doing that for 10 years, you need to think about a structure to make it independent of who's running it.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely need that succession planning.
Well, but I also don't want to discourage people from starting something, and then if it doesn't work out, you switch it, right? So maybe you do start, like you said, Adrian, maybe you start as a registered program at a facility, you trial it, and it's well attended, and you don't like the restrictions of a registered program, and you decide to become a club, or you decide to split into a more developmental, like Adrian's club, and that stays under the municipal programs, and then maybe the competitive club splits because then it can do sponsorship and it has more freedom to go to other pools or do other activities. So I think if you're still on this webinar, just be inspired that you can try different formats, and every community is going to be different, right? Montreal being a large metropolitan area, areas near Halifax, Nova Scotia being much smaller, different interests, different socioeconomic demographics. You're going to have to find what works for your community, for your programs, schedule, and for your staffing. Like you said, Adrian and Claudine, like maybe one person starts it, but then 6 months from now, is it taken over by a very interested new lifeguard instructor, or somebody becomes trained, or they have a personal passion, and really just being flexible and not, we do it this way, because if the kids don't register or the youth don't come or they don't enjoy it, then it's not going to work under any circumstance.
Yeah.
So I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much to Claudine Courteau-Godmaire from near Montreal, the Rouville Surf Club. The link is in the chat box. And then Adrian Spencer from Guardian Lifesaving Club, Halifax, Nova Scotia. The show notes are in the chat box. I just want to briefly mention the couple of sessions for next week. So next week we have, we still have a Friday of this week. I don't know about you guys, but I never know what day it is anymore. So Friday this week, we do have Jason Simituk will be here. He is doing Making Aquatics a Winner, and that will be how you can advocate for aquatics, your pool, your programs, when it comes crunch time with budgets, or even right now with COVID, if your budget's being cut. How do we advocate for water safety, drowning prevention? As both presenters mentioned, it's hard to quantify the tactile outcomes. How can we be better speakers for what our needs are in aquatics? That's going to be on Friday. Monday is mermaiding and lifeguard games. So that's in the chat box with Dominique from the University of Calgary formerly. She's now with Recreation Excellence, Your Better Life. And then next week, we will have Trevor Sherwood on Wednesday, May 6th. He is an expert witness from the United States involved in litigation against drowning cases, both civil and criminal, for different fatal drownings. And he'll be talking about different things that he's seen that American pools especially can avoid doing, or different precautions and preparations they can take. So we'll say thank you to Claudine and Adrian. Bye for now. I'll be on here for a few minutes if anyone has any questions, and we'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
If anyone has any questions, you can pop them in the chat box. The link for Monday is up there. I'm going to put the link for Wednesday as well. So this is next week's Wednesday session. Sorry, I didn't have that ready. Oh, sorry, that's not the right link. It's if you go to the main page, if you go to our main page, which I'll put in the chat box, that will take you to the Trevor Sherwood. If you click on the blue box, this one will take you to the registration for next Wednesday. It's not showing up properly while I'm in Click Meeting. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday. Bye, Jean from Massachusetts, not Michigan.